All right, we are live. Well, Woody Schultz, firefighter Kevin Schultz. Welcome.
Good to be here.
Yeah, so basically what we want to do is we want to just kind of get to know you. And, obviously I've worked with you for quite a few years, but my goal is to make a historical record and talk about old times and all the stories that are fun and not everybody gets to hear going forward. So
Sounds good.
try to protect that. So why don't you just start? Tell me about your career. How long did you have in the fire service?
I have 31 years professionally. I did 4 years at Delaware County EMS and then 27 here at Washington. And then I volunteered prior to that. So probably 35 plus years of volunteer work, but 31 professional.
Very cool. And typically everybody has a thing, right? Would you say you're a ladder guy, engine person? What's your MO?
Probably more of an engine person, even though I did drive the Quint for many, many years. But I'd probably say more of an engine guy.
Yeah. Would you enjoy most about that?
I enjoyed everything about the fire service, helping people and every day was a new day. I mean, you'd come to work and you have no idea what you're going to get into that day. And it could be fire alarms, could be a flooded basement, and it could be a cat, which I have some stories where I've had my gear on and had to get a cat out of a closet. That was insane. And that was crazy. So
got a cat out of a closet?
It was a lady behind Station 93 in the condos there, and she had this wild cat in her room. And her room was like kind of like a storeroom. She had put all of her overflow stuff in there. And this cat was in there, and it was just wild. She just wanted to get it out. So she came over and asked for help. So we went over there, and this cat was like literally like jumping on the walls, doing flips. I mean, it was like hissing. So I got my gear on, and I missed my coat and my gloves, and I cornered this cat, and then we had a cage ready, and I cornered this cat and grabbed this thing, and this thing's latched onto me. It was insane, and threw it in the cage, shut the cage, and we got a pretty good laugh out of that.
That's awesome. So let's go back to the beginning. What got you into the fire service?
Well, I grew up on Put-in-Bay, an island, and I joined the Put-in-Bay Volunteer Fire Department. Of course, back then it was pretty much you're on. There's any paperwork, and I thought that was interesting, and I thought, this could be a good career. So a good friend of mine, Bob Schneider, was going to go into it. So I thought, I think something I want to get into as well. So did some research and went to Hocking College and got our firefighting and EMT, and then went to Grant for paramedic.
Okay.
And that was in 84, 85, and 86. And then
how long was paramedic school in 84, 5, and 6?
It was like 7 months. So, and it was nice. I mean, it was a lot quicker than it is today. And our books were probably 1/4 the size they are today.
Kind of look like the ones back there a little bit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, exactly. So, and it was nice. I mean, I went through to Grant, and it was crazy, but I enjoyed it though. And I love my career. Yeah. I really do. I enjoy it.
Very cool. Washington Township pretty much full time after Grant?
No, I'm also from Grant. I got hired at Delaware County EMS. I worked private and had volunteers for a couple of years right out of a fire school, and then got hired at Delaware County, and then worked there for 4 years. And I learned a lot there. We're busier then for some reason. We had more traumas. It seems like we had more cardiac arrests. We had more, just more things, more serious things. Over time, it seems like things have lessened a lot. But so I got a lot of good experience at Delaware County. I mean, we had 2 medics at the time when I first started, and we covered the whole county. So, I mean, there's times your response times maybe, 20 minutes, 25 minutes. And a lot of times you're by yourself.
Sure.
But the volunteer fire departments in the townships of the county back then were all volunteer, and they would help out, which is great. So today that's totally changed.
Yeah.
So, and then,
sorry to interrupt there. Do you think that there's actually less calls, or do you figure that there's just now 7 medics in the county.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I think a couple of things have changed. I think, yes, the run volumes definitely has increased. They've added more staffing. And then when it comes to like trauma incidents, for example, cars have become more engineered to protect the body.
Sure.
So, you know, you don't have the traumas you used to have. You can fly people out like you used to. Cardiac events, people are more educated, I think, when it comes to signs of a heart attack or a stroke or whatever, of a reaction. And so they're seeking medical help sooner or quicker.
Yeah.
And then with the internet and the world became a little smaller, things became a little easier. But the runs have definitely increased since, I mean, I know I started Washington, I'm just going to guess, but I think we're doing like maybe 2,000 back then. And that's a total guess. I don't know that for sure. And now it's over 5,000. So 6,000 now.
6,500.
Yeah. So it had, and of course, when I started Washington, Station 93 just opened up. So we had 2 stations.
What year did you start?
In 1994 as at Washington. Yeah.
So were you here for the opening of Station 93 or came in just after?
No, just after. I can't remember exactly what year it was. I think 93's opened up in 92, or I'm sorry, 1993.
Okay.
And I feel bad. I should know that, but I don't. So
I should know that, and I don't.
Yeah, I can't remember. And then it was fairly new. It might have been a couple years. And then, but 93s was in the field. Like when I first started here, I worked at 91s, and Station 93 was up north, and it was in the field to the point where you'd drive up there, you get across 33, and all Kroger's wasn't there. I think there was one gas station there, and then all the way up to 93s was pretty much not maybe a couple houses, maybe a couple apartments that were there, but it was out in the country.
You were the wildland firefighter.
Yeah, right. And then you get north of 93s, there was nothing. I mean, we would sit 93s in the evenings, and we would golf, and we would hit golf balls into, back there, Murfield Drive and Brand Road. They had a little, like a median then. And we would hit golf balls out there, and there's no traffic. So it wasn't a big deal. So now
you have the rookie go collect them, or just use water balls?
We would hit them out there and have to go get them and come back. We would just take turns. So, but yeah, I won't talk about the potato gun.
Potato gun, huh?
Yeah.
What's potato gun?
Yeah. It's a little thing we engineered. I didn't engineer it, someone, and then we would,
I don't think you can be written up 30 years after you retired.
That was always fun too. We would try to shoot potato guns, see how far we could launch them into the field. And then behind 93s, there's no condos there. It's all field.
Yeah.
So we could hit golf balls there as well. So it was out in the.
Who's the best golfer?
Boy, I don't know. Was it me? Or was it me? So
that's okay. So you went from 93s. About how long did you stay up there? Just a few years, or most of your career?
No, most of my career, I'd say, is at 93s. I spent I was at 91s for about a year, and then I went to 93s probably around 96. And I was at 93s until probably until when did I leave? I left in 21, so probably till like 17, 18. I think it was at 92s for 3 years, might have been 4 years. So I spent most of my time at 93s and saw it totally change from where it was then to what it is today.
And you did a little stint down 95s, yeah?
Yeah. Yep. I was transferred down there for a year.
Okay.
And that was that was a year they actually were painting the tower. Yeah. So I got transferred down there, but then they shut down the station for, I think, 7 months, and they put tarps up.
A couple of times. Yeah. Kept blowing down. There's some video. There's people have took some pictures of that. And so then I was moved to Station 91, and we ran out of Station 91. But during the day, they rented an office space. So we would take the medic and the engine, drive down to an office space, park the trucks in the parking lot, and we would use our walkies, and we would take runs in the walkies and out of an office space. Just during the day, though. We had our lazy boys in there and I think a coffee maker. And where was that office space? So I don't know if you remember, but you were my first crew.
Yeah.
And so that was during the time that you were stationed at 95s, but sleeping at 91. So where was that actual? It
was off France Road. I can't remember the address, but it was off France Road, north of Tuttle, on the east side. And I can't remember what buildings were, or rather, of course, everyone they all changed
Yeah.
the businesses, but it was right there. Yeah.
Okay.
Not too far from Tuttle.
Like
And we were there.
Bradenton and France, maybe on the east side,
Yeah.
over by that
Yeah.
daycare.
It was a single story building. And I know there's other people running other office spaces in there. So, but
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't have the frame of reference to know where we were at that time. I just
Yeah.
knew that I got on the truck and that's where it
yeah,
dropped me
yeah,
off.
it was because it was I mean, I think it's unique. I mean, you think about running out of an office space and you park
Sure.
your trucks in a parking lot and you really can plug them in, but we did try to plug them in because the medic, of course, would, you know, you had to plug in or the batteries would go dead. So we had like an extension cord, we plugged inside the front outlet inside the building. I mean, you know, we made do, we made it work.
It worked.
So, and that was, so, but we were happy to get back into 95s when it was done. And then I transferred back to 93s.
Okay.
So kind of always like 93s, kind of
Yeah.
but then towards the end of my career, I was like, yeah, I need to expand a little more. So I went to 92s. So I was at 91s for a while again. Redmond and I traded for like 6 months.
Oh, that's right. He was taking the test, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was studying for, which he's an officer today. And he was studying to take the test. So we switched for like 6 months. So I spent a SNET 91s again. Didn't sleep much because it's a busy station. So, but it's all good though. It's amazing. The people here are amazing to me.
Yeah, that's
A
cool.
lot of heroes.
So tell me about that. Who was your favorite senior person or somebody who mentored you?
Oh boy.
It doesn't have to be here, just kind of in general.
Well, you know, Mark Beverly was always good. I mean, there's so many of them, to be honest with you. I mean, you know, Captain, or just a lot of, I mean, Chuck Aston, Andrix, there's a lot of people, you know, John Nichols, a lot of those people were Jerry Coltonback. I mean, I could go on and on and on about, but those are the early days of 91s that kind of got my platform here.
Okay.
So
when do you think you had your greatest growth curve? You know, when did you learn the most?
probably the beginning, because I mean, things have changed so much between today and then. So, because I mean, we took the runs were more serious then. I mean, they're more. I said they're more of more. We had to use more of your skills, just because the way things were. So, but so I don't know. I think you learn. I mean, I still learn today. I mean, after 31 years, I mean, working with you taught me things. I mean, I was like, okay, you know, because you have newer medics coming in, better ideas of doing math when it comes to, you know, calculations, and you learn new things. You're like, oh, that's a great idea. So I think in this business, you learn all the time. You really do. There's no know-it-alls. I think you're always constantly learning. Things are always changing. And I think in this, what makes you very good in this career is when you can adapt and change on a moment. I mean, you could be in the middle of a run where all hell's breaking loose and someone comes with an idea like, oh, that's a great idea. Let's do it. And then you just switch your gears and you do it. And everyone just does it. It's impressive to see.
Yeah. I've always said that's very fascinating about firefighters.
It is. Yeah. I mean, they can, I mean, you can be going up, you know, hill A, and then you can flip and you're halfway up hill B just right now.
Yeah.
So, and everyone's always on board. So you very rarely do you ever have people like, hey, that's not a good idea. Everyone is on board. Everyone's on the same page. And it's impressive.
Nice.
So, but Washington's unique because I think we have a lot of good people here that know what they're doing. So
yeah,
it's impressive. It's an honor.
What was your favorite seat to ride? Driving, nozzle, medic? What was your thing if you could have a permanent position?
Well, that's a really good question, because you know, you want to say driver because driver is like the medic. It's more easier, but no, I would probably say riding in charge of the medic.
Really?
It sounds weird to say it that way because I mean, it's a little more stressful. And we talked about earlier, it's a job where you're under the eyes, you're judged. And we talked about this earlier, which is a really good point, which you're judged all the time by your runs, your actions, what you're doing. And then if you have a really good run, you have other medic crews or other engine crews, wherever on, and then you go back like, oh, did I do the right thing? Did I do it right? Did I mess up? Are people looking at me funny? You know, maybe I didn't do this right. And you start second guessing yourself sometimes.
Sure.
But yeah, I think you've learned, you just got to go with it. And most of the time it was always good.
Yeah.
So, but I enjoyed being in the engine as well. Probably the back of the engine was probably the most relaxing because You have to worry about where you're going for the most part. All you have to do is get your gear on and do your thing. And that, was probably more easier way, I'd say. So, but yeah.
So when you come back part-time, which position would you like us to put you in?
Now, being 56, I can probably still do the job, but driving would be fine.
Yeah.
I'm cool with driving.
Yeah.
So, but
Driving the
what?
medic?
If they needed me to come back, and I guess I would. If they needed me, I would do
You
it.
still have your cards?
I do. Yeah. Yeah.
How long goes good till?
I think my medic is another 2 years or a year and a half, I think.
Okay.
So
We dump it off after that?
yeah, I have no plans to. I honestly I'm done. I've loved my career. Man, it's the best ever. It's the best kept secret. I enjoyed everything about it. I really did. So, but I think I'm done though.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Which is absolutely wonderful.
So I do think some people, and we can think of some names. I'm not gonna mention names. There's some people that really push it too far.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't blame them. I don't blame them because it's hard to let go. It's hard to walk away from this career. But there comes a time in life you have to understand it's time to go. And to be able to be at this age, being 56, I feel great.
That's cool.
And knock on wood. And I can enjoy my retirement now, golden years, and reflect back on what I've done, what I've seen. And it's nice today.
That's cool. And so when did you retire?
February 19th of 2021.
All
so
right.
just about a year.
And you were working every day up to the end?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the whole last year I haven't done I am volunteering for Big Brothers Big Sisters today, which is awesome. I'm giving back to the community. And that's a different challenge. So, but I'm game.
That's
ready.
cool. I like that. I'm game. I'm ready.
Yep.
So you like the medic. Talk to me about some of those runs. What sticks out in your mind about your time on the medic?
Well, I'd probably say when a lot of the runs you go on are more basic runs. You're not using your medic skills very often. There's times you go on these good trauma runs or good cardiac event runs, and your skills come into play, and you do some great things. And then, like probably my career, maybe half a dozen times we've had cardiac arrest where we got them back, and about 3 people I've seen 3 or 4 weeks later. One I can think of is at 92, so must have been later in my career. Full, cardiac arrest, got him back, got him to Riverside quick. And like 3 weeks later, he came walking back in the doors of 93s. He's one walker, but he came in crying, thanking all of us for what we did. And our, we're grateful for that. And we're thankful. But my first reaction is, well, it's my job. It's my job. It's not, it's not like I'm a hero or anything. It's just your job. You're doing what you're paid to do. So, and I enjoy that kind of stuff, I think. So, yeah. But you have the basic runs from, I remember it's one auto accident we were on, is at Murfield and, what was that? Murfield and Memorial.
Okay.
It was a van, and this lady, it rolled upside down, and the weight was on top of another car. She couldn't get out. She was stuck. There's a little hole that I crawled through a car. I was medic in charge. I was in charge of 90 medic 93. We went, and I got there first, and I was trying to assess her, and I couldn't get to her except some glass. But there's a little hole there, so I stuck my hand in there and she grabbed my hand and goes, "Please don't let go."
Oh.
So we sat there and talked. By then, the rescue showed up, and they did they're doing their thing, so it took probably a good half hour to cut her out of there. So, but that was just to sit there and calm her down, and I think she was thankful for, even though it was just one little hand through a window. And just holding her hand until they got her out, and then got her out and took her to the hospital, and she ended up being fine. But I think just the comfort things, it's not always about the big run or it's just, sometimes it's the small things. It's the little things, 3 o'clock in the morning, if they call you because they're having chest pain, and you get there and you determine it's more likely anxiety or something else. And you just talk to them and comfort them. And that right there means the world to them. So.
Yeah. I've always said it's the smallest things that
it's the small things.
Those will be the sentinel moments, and you won't realize it until they're gone.
Yeah. The kids have seizures in the middle of the night, And sometimes the parents call you because they're so nervous, and and turns out you get there, and they're actually very good at giving the medication to their child. They're actually really good, but sometimes us in the room with them, they feel like maybe higher powered or better. They feel more confident in themselves, and they normally would take care of their own child. And then in the end, we hang out with them for 15, 20 minutes or whenever and we end up leaving and not transporting because they've been down this road.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes our presence sometimes means a lot. So, so it must be the uniform. I don't know.
Must be the uniform. Can't be actual skills.
No, yeah.
So, well, let's take a look at some of these. Let's see what we have here dating back to the beginning, if you will.
This should be good.
Let's see here. We'll pull up a couple of. Sorry, I meant to have a couple of these. So this is Woody as I know him.
Oh yeah.
Woody being the people person that he is. It's funny. I start looking back at some of these pictures and how many of them you are interacting with the public, and it's
I enjoyed PR public. Yeah,
there's a lot of them with other people where you're or that person is cutting a car or doing the job, and you're doing the job of people here, and constantly throughout them, and I think that's awesome.
I was really never a rescue guy, but I tell you, it's impressive the people that work here that are. I mean, I could do it if I had to, but there's some people that are just. I mean, they're to me, they're heroes.
Let's see here.
Oh yeah, ice cream. I don't know if that's. I don't know if that's the Irish Fest or.
Looks like an open house, Station 93 behind you with the trailer, smoke trailer.
Oh yeah, I can see the quint and the reflection of the window.
Oh yeah, there it is.
So yeah, it must be. I must have. Oh yeah, it is 93. I can see the pillar. Yeah, you're exactly right.
Let's see.
That monitor's kind of far away from me. My eyes.
Let's see Woody on an extrication here. There we go.
Is that I have no idea what I was doing.
It's an extrication training at 90 or at admin, and we were playing around afterwards and found a bunch of pictures in the back of the car.
Oh, gotcha. That's fun. Yeah, that's always fun. Tearing cars up and things you find in old cars.
Right, and it was always like the. This was just, like I said, a training.
Yeah.
Who's that young guy?
Yeah, that was that's old Engine 94, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
what's going on here? Do you remember?
I do not remember that. That was definitely probably back in I had been like early 90s because it's a black gear. So
it says March of 94. Good
94, job. Yeah. Yeah, the black gear was I don't know when we got rid of it, but that was definitely my first set of gear I ever had. I still have it.
Really? Do you like that black gear?
Don't tell the Chiefs. It's lighter and it's more you can move in it better, but doesn't protect you as much.
Okay.
Although I've been some good fires though with that gear.
Really?
So yeah.
Oh, that's
I
fun.
burned myself unfortunately by you're in a building, you lean against the wall and you can burn your shoulder on that, and that just because the gear was thinner than stuff they have today.
Nice. Did you do long boots, or did you come in after the?
So the long, I did long boots at Put in Bay.
Oh, okay.
Back in the day when early on, again, I was up behind the ears. I knew nothing. Put in Bay was pretty much going to be a firefighter. Okay, you can, and we had the long boots, the 3/4 boots, and we had the rubber coats. Believe it or not, and we actually were the tailboard of an engine. Of course, I think I was like 18 and I have no clue what I was doing. I mean, I remember when we pulled up on the scene one time of a fire, and I jumped to the back of the truck and I stared at this was like a little cottage fire, and I took a couple steps, fell in the hole, fell down, and I was like, "What the hell? What's going on?" But that was then, and that's kind of funny. And that was a long time ago. It had to have been probably early 80s, probably 82, 81. So when that was
Put in Bay, how long did you have to ride the tailboard?
Oh, I had zero training. I mean, we just didn't, and maybe, the island has changed today. I mean, today, the Put in Bay Fire Department is impressive. Everything has changed. But back in the day, it was a little different. It was a small town. I mean, it's an island, but it's a small town, and you came together and you did your thing. You did for your community. So, but that was then, and I'm sure all of us, especially older guys, have those stories. when you first start fire service, it's pretty much like, yeah, you want to be in a fire? Sure, come on, we'll train you later. We just, and that's how a lot of people got their start.
Interesting.
So
Do you
today
remember your
it's
first fire?
so different. I don't. Probably my first fire was probably the Put in Bay fire, that little cottage thing. But not official, probably. So officially, probably Delaware County. We went with the fire departments on runs, but probably here at Washington, I would say. I don't know my first, to be honest with you. I remember some of the big ones.
What are some of the big ones?
I know we're at Marysville for a big high-rise fire. I think it was a 6-story building in Marysville years back. Was impressive. And then another one was up with Jerome Township, and that was a little more serious. That was a tanker that was foggy, and the tanker wrecked and it exploded, and it was
the one that went off the T intersection there.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah, and there was lady was killed. The truck driver was killed. They burned up in the fire, unfortunately. That was huge. That was kind of a crazy deal because we pulled up and it was pretty smoke or foggy, and also you can see this glow of this fireball, and but we did it with foam with 2 tanks of water. Actually, Concord showed up, and we knocked the fire down very well with 2 tanks of water using foam and water, and did a great job. Nice. So that's a big one. Then
what was the Marysville one?
I can't remember the name of the building. It was downtown Marysville, and I can't remember. I think I worked part-time for Jerome, and I want to say I was with Jerome in that one, but Washington was there because I think I ended up being on Ladder 91 because I know I went to the roof. So, but man, that was a long time ago as well. That was probably back in the early 90s as well.
Interesting.
So, but I don't remember the building.
Was it residential, commercial?
No, it was commercial. It was downtown Marysville. So,
interesting.
It was a long time ago. Yeah.
There's let's see here. Do you ever do dive training or want to be a diver?
I thought about it and I was going to, and at the time the diving really started out, I was taking a lot of summers off, just vacation time. Sure. And the time, it seemed like almost every time they'd have a class, I was gone. I was on vacation or something. Yep. So I just never really got around to it. But I love water. I mean, I grew up on an island. Obviously, I have a boat. I enjoy water. I'm very comfortable in water, but just never got around to it. I enjoyed helping out, as you can see there. I enjoyed helping on the sidelines, but never did become a diver officially.
What is the fire on Avery here?
Avery.
Let's see here. It says training fire on Avery.
Oh, that was on Avery. Yeah, that was, I want to say it's just south of Shire Rings. Wait, because I'm trying to think of a field right there.
I don't see the actual
structure. There was we did back in the day, we did so many trainings around here. We used to burn buildings down because you're allowed to. Today, there's a lot more rules than there used to be. And there's a couple in Shire Rings that we did. And then that one looks like it must have been way down on Avery.
Okay.
Because that must be the that's what I'm thinking. So, but I somehow remember that, but is that black? They were black. Where's Black Gear?
Yeah, Black Gear.
But Chief Wu is here. So that must have been in the late 90s.
Okay. Interesting. What's going on here? Code 3 for a cure.
So these are retired firefighters that drove around, and they would they only did it 1 year, and they're supposed to do it every year. But if I remember right, because this is it's probably 10 years ago, 15 years ago, they would drive around to the stations and they would swap T-shirts out, and you can donate money to firefighters for cancer. And these guys were retired firefighters at one time, and they called, and I think that's Chief Bostic there. So I want to say that they got permission to stop by 93. So they stopped by and we exchanged T-shirts and talked, and they drive his truck around all over the place. I mean, like from Washington State all the way around.
That's cool.
They collect money for cancer, but they never came back after that 1 year. I'm not sure whatever happened with that reason, or maybe it was a different shift. But
interesting. Look at this serious face.
Yeah, that was
getting her done.
That was at 91's training. I can't remember what on we're something to do with behind 91s. We're doing some training back there. So
Looks like engine 95 probably.
yeah.
Which vehicle did you like the best? Did you like the old manual pumpers, or did you like the new age electronics?
The new ones are way better. Yeah.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say, I mean, really the fire pump, I mean, it's changed a little bit, but I mean, overall, yeah, I mean, overall it's, you know, I can't, probably the old 889, 880 or 882, I think it was old engine 91, old engine 93.
Oh, okay.
Those are the old ones. And those were, man, those things they would never die. Those
Really?
were, you know, now the newer ones are obviously impressive as well, but it wasn't a truck I didn't like. I mean, most of the trucks I think were pretty nice. So
That's cool. Here's one for you. This one I actually don't know much about. Let's see here. Trying to get it open.
yeah, that might have been, I don't know if that was, it's funny because you think back all these runs. There was we had a fire south of 92s off of Summit View, I think. And I think that might have been it. There was a 3-unit fire. We came on duty at 8 in the morning, and they were still out there. And we showed up and kind of did some finishing work, some overhaul. I think that's what that is, or it could be. There was also a fire up in Concord that we helped out on, and that might have been that one as well. But you know, they blur together sometimes.
I definitely understand that. Oops,
so
we'll pass on from that one.
Yeah. That's a bad one. That was one of those things, and I apologize for that, even though it happened a long time ago.
That's life.
But they're making fun of me.
Oh, okay.
And they're saying something about, because we could wear shorts.
Oh.
And someone was saying something about something, and I just kind of went, oh, yeah. And they took the picture. That bothered me. That bothered me for years.
Oh, no.
So I'm like, oh, my God, the picture's out there, and people are going to see me. And people know me. I don't even hardly swear that often.
Yeah.
And hold the middle finger up there. So I apologize for that. That was one of those moments they caught me on camera, and I regret it. But it's out there, and it's the real world.
It is the real world. We forget that sometimes. This
was a hazmat on 33. And I remember this run because it came in. I mean, we have Nasty. I was part of the hazmat team.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there's this tanker leaking, and they called us in there, and we all got in level A's, and we're ready to go in. And then they would hire like a private, like they would call a private company to come in and clean it up.
Okay.
Well, they called somebody, and I don't know who it was, but this guy showed up in blue jeans and a t-shirt and a hat, baseball cap. And he parked right down the street and come walking up right through the hot zone, right to the liquid, took some paper, pH paper, hit the liquid, looked at it. I mean, the guy might even licked it. I don't know. But he's like, we're good. And we're like, okay. And we all stood down and went home. So, yeah, and that was a lot of hazmat runs. A lot of hazmat runs where you hurry up and get there.
Yeah.
And then you start doing your training. So you're getting your, you have tenders, and they're getting you all dressed and ready to go in. And you're thinking to yourself, I mean, right then, all of us are thinking what we're going to do. Okay, we're going to go in, we're going to contain it. How are we going to do it? And then it's almost like a letdown almost, because you're like thinking. All of a sudden, you hear someone commotion, and you look back and you see this guy walking in blue jeans, and oh, it's not dangerous. It's all good. And then you're like, and she's like, oh, you can go home now. Stand down. But that's the job, though. I mean, so many times do we get, you get calls for, non-breather or whatever, and you get there and everything is fine, which is good, obviously, in the end. But I think it's why firefighters have such, because your heart's racing, your blood pressure's up, and you get there and it's nothing. So, it's highs and lows. So
that's for sure. How many times you on a gas leak and the gas company guy come up with a cigarette in his mouth?
I remember, and I've seen it. Today's not so much, but I have seen it. I've literally seen it where we've been in these gas, and we've been there for hours sitting there, and that's hot days, and walk up and there's a cigarette in his mouth, and be up there, oh, it's good. And they'll reach in the hole, the cigarette, grab his mouth over here, and he'll just do something and done. They're like, okay. So it's just amazing. So
better to over triage and under, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's safety, because obviously with other stories we hear, they do explode, and it does happen.
Yeah. Like the UA home that lifted off its foundation.
Yeah. So, it It's our job is so unique. We take so much safety precautions, and some people laugh at it, but really you need to. You got to be careful because, I mean, that's things can go wrong very quick, as we all know. I
Yeah.
mean, really, really quick. So,
What are some times that things have gone well in your career? You know, so we always talk about the good times and bad times. Give me some stories of when it's gone right for you. When you got done with the
um,
run and been like, yeah,
oh,
that was it.
you know, a lot of times I would say. I mean, a lot of times I think the runs go very well. I mean, most of the time, I mean, I think the times you second guess yourself, I guess in a sense, I never even call that a bad run. Probably more an experience run, but I mean,
Mhm.
I can't think of anything offhand. But there's times I've went to the ER doctor, I transported to like Riverside or whatever, and you know, after I got cleaned up and went back and I've talked to the ER doctor, like, hey, this is what I did. What do you think? And sometimes like, yeah, you know, you did okay, but next time maybe do this.
Mhm.
And so again, you're always learning. So, but most of the time, we've done very well. I mean, I can't think of a run that went so bad where I had major regrets. I can't think of one offhand, and there might have been some. I'm not saying there wasn't, but I think here at Washington we're so professional that a lot of us do a very good job. And even if you have a day where you're off, you know, like I'm looking, hey Andrew, what's that drug dosage again? And then it's like you can think about it, but you can't think about it, and then you'll say like, oh yeah, that's right, I knew that. But that's why we work well together because you need to have that backup system because you don't want to give um, the wrong medication at the wrong time.
Mhm.
So, I mean, because things can go horribly wrong very, very, very quick. So,
Yeah.
but I would say 99% of the time things go very, very well. And it's probably 99.9. Very rarely, I can't honestly think of any incident where things were like, you know, all bad.
Mhm.
So,
You have
no,
any runs that you can't forget?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I had some Delaware County. There, some of the work trauma ones with kids that are pretty. I'll never forget.
Yeah.
I'm just there. It's an image that you'll see it. You see it every. Just you always see it.
Yeah.
Even here, but a lot of them is probably another one. I remember as an Ohio State student on 270, and he hit the wall, and it was really bad, and he was we knew things weren't going to go well at all.
Yeah.
And it didn't. And he was talking to us and he was afraid. And we were like, oh, and that's the time I felt kind of bad. I'm like, oh, you're going to be fine. You're good. You're good. We had a helicopter coming in because we knew it was bad. And he's like, man, and he kept repeating himself, it's very sad. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. I'm like, oh, you're good. We got you. We got you doing IVs. And boom, that was it. And didn't make it.
Yeah.
And that's sad because it's not that I was lying to him. I didn't think he was going to make it, but obviously you can't say that. So those are the times where it bothers you a little bit, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do to get by for that moment. And so I have no regrets,
Sure.
but sometimes you got to do what you got to do to get by.
So help the next generation coming forward. How do you process that? And how do you handle that stuff long term?
I think I've done very well with that kind of stuff. I really have. And it's not that I'm morbid or anything, but I can put myself at work.
Yeah.
And I can put myself at home. And I mean, I've seen a lot of things and people in this career, you're going to see it. You're going to see some things that make you think about life itself, and it's very sad things. I mean, children, and it's almost like it's not fair, but I've always had no issue separating the two.
Hmm.
And to me, it's important. You got to, because I mean, I think about it at different times. I mean, I could be in Florida at the beach and all of a sudden I'll see an image of a kid or a run I was on and think, oh boy.
Mm-hmm.
Or like I'll see a kid playing it remind me of something I've seen. And it's just makes you appreciate life more and realize how valuable it is and how quick it can be gone, taken from you. So, that's the fire service. That's what we do. That's what it is.
Yep. It's amazing how universal that experience is.
Yeah. And well, there's some people that can't make it. I've started with people that were in it for a couple of years and left. Like they couldn't handle it because they go on one bad run and I'm not blaming them. I'm not saying anything bad about these people at all. They couldn't handle it or it bothered them too much and they had to leave. So it's I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm lucky I can be in that. I can separate the two.
Sure.
So, but you're only human too.
Yeah.
So,
How do you think we've come along when it comes to mental health on the fire service?
way better today. I mean, I don't know. I guess I thought it's been pretty good, but today, I mean, we have those stress teams, that are out there, that, that will, we can meet with you if you want to talk.
Yeah.
I've never felt like I had to talk to anybody. And I'm not saying I'm special or I'm strong or I'm manly. It has nothing to do with that. I could separate it. I just didn't feel the need to talk about it because I knew it was bad. It was sad, but you know what? You go back to the firehouse, you do your report, you get cleaned up, and you go for the next one.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to do. So
Let's jump to an entirely separate topic.
okay.
Right? What is your proper way to make coffee? Completely black with grounds on the bottom, or
yeah, it has to be strong. I like strong coffee. I think that's important to the fire. It's a staple in the firehouse. Although I've noticed the last couple of years of when I was working, some of these new firefighters aren't really coffee drinkers. And
we're losing our way, Woody.
Yeah. And to me, I think coffee has always been a staple at the firehouse, where it used to be no matter what time of day you walk into a firehouse, there's always coffee on. And it's still that way a lot of ways, obviously still. But yeah, coffee to me is important. I mean, the kitchen table is important. Sitting in coffee, talking to the guys, even talking about your home life sometimes. I mean, you're talking about your kids' games or sporting events or, politics, but sometimes politics got out of control.
What?
You have to have a safety word for that. And then, and I'm probably the worst when it comes to politics.
You and I have
passionate.
never talked about politics.
No, never. I refuse to talk about politics. But that's life. That's firehouse. But it's amazing. You can have disagreements with people and be like, oh yeah, I disagree. Oh yeah. It almost get heated, but then the tone drops and you go on a run and everyone works together and everything is fine.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's just part of, I mean, you have personalities that clash constantly at the firehouse, fire station. I mean, you're a family there for 24 hours. And sometimes it can get tense.
Mm-hmm.
Other times, I mean, I love coming to work. I mean, there's times I've on vacation for a couple of weeks. I look forward to get back in the firehouse. And I'm not kidding you. I would really get excited about going, even after 25, 30 years, I still look forward to going to the firehouse.
That's cool.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I've always said there's something special about the kitchen table.
There is. Yeah.
Yeah. Kitchen table and the tailboard. There's no two, no two better places.
And then, years ago, we used to get the kitchen chairs and go sit in front of the stations and sit out front and kind of watch the cars go by and talk about whatever. And the public would come in and talk to us and we'd hang out with them. But really towards probably the last, 5 years of the career, we're just so busy to a point where we didn't have time because we were doing runs, we were doing reports, training. So the fire service has changed a lot since I started. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I definitely enjoy the job though.
Yeah. What, so everybody's got something that they love and something that they hate. What is something that you're happy you never have to do again?
EMS reports.
Okay.
Probably. And then, crawling around my knees anymore.
Sure.
It's a point where, doing EMS reports. Let me do one at a time here. I love the runs. Don't get me wrong. I did. Majority of runs, of course, were more basic, and that's fine. But the sitting there, you have a run, and you could be in the run for an hour, 2 hours, and then if it's a good, like an auto accident, whatever, you can come back and spend another 2 to 3 hours doing the report, and that's just one run. And then if you have multiple runs, the next you have. I mean, I remember one time I think I was 12 reports down, and now out of the 12 reports, 8 of them were simple ones, but 4 of them were big ones. And I think I was up until like 4 or 5 in the morning getting them done. And then I just stayed up, made coffee and watched the news until I left at 8 o'clock and went home and took 2 days to recover. And then I was back at it again.
Which was your least favorite reporting system? Clayton, ESO, Firehouse, paper?
Paper.
Okay.
So, no, Firehouse, I mean, it's between Clayton and the ESL,
Oh, okay.
because paper was simple because you could just write it down and then you had multiple copies and you just threw one yellow, I think it was yellow copy in the bin and you're done.
Okay.
No computer entries at all. Then you got to Clayton, and that was interesting. It's a small computer, but it kind of worked. And then they switched.
Describe Clayton for people who will never.
Oh,
get
it's like a little teeny thing. I mean, I'm trying to describe. It's like a
label maker.
Yeah, like a label maker, exactly. And then you kind of type in there, but it would do like auto narrative for you. It was it probably wasn't the best system, but it was easy because it downloaded it for you.
Here.
Yeah, that's it. Is that it? No, that's not Clayton. That's a computer, I think. But there it is. That's it right there.
The Clayton.
Yeah, and it wasn't bad. I thought it was okay. I mean, it was kind of neat.
Innovative for the late 90s.
Yeah, and then we switched to and I don't want to get too involved in it because I was one of the advocates that I voiced my opinion a lot. Got myself in trouble probably sometimes.
How that happens.
But we went to a point where we would do it on these little notes. We would take notes.
Oh, sure.
And then we had to come back and enter in a computer. And then the computer was so slow.
Mm-hmm.
So you would write notes, give a copy to the hospital, then go back to the station, resupply, get fuel, get back to the station 2 hours later. Then you got to spend 2 hours for the computer, and the computer is so slow.
Sure.
Enter it in Firehouse, and sometimes you hit a wrong button and the thing would disappear. Then you have to redo it. But that's probably the negative sides of the Firehouse. Today, I'm just going to be positive. ESO today is great.
Yeah.
When we went to that for the last couple of years, it's awesome. It's beautiful.
Yep.
Love it.
I would agree with that. How about crawling around on your knees? You said you're pretty much done with that.
Yeah, just sore knees, sore back in a sense, and nothing's wrong. It just after you're crawling on your knees. I mean, do training. I just got a point where I just got tired of crawling around my hands and knees. I mean, towards the end, I actually bought knee pads. So like when we train, I would put knee pads on real quick. You can't necessarily do that in a run. And that made it much better.
Yeah.
But I got to the point where I just felt it more difficult to climb around and, going through the tunnels, like confined space. It's the weirdest thing. Confined space years ago, I had no problems going through tunnels. I'd go through tunnels that were tight on my body and I would go right through. No big deal. I loved it. In fact, we had at 91s and I would myself, I'd go back there and play these tunnels. But today, in the last probably 5 years, I can't do tunnels anymore. I don't know why.
Feeling of claustrophobia.
Yeah. And I never used to be that way. And I don't know what changed. And I've heard this from someone else a long time ago. They said, as you get older, you get, so don't like confined spaces anymore like I used to. So I don't mind. If I have to, I will.
Yeah.
But if it's volunteer, if I have a choice, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
So towards the end, we have confined space. I'd be like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. And all the officers were like, yeah, you're cool. So
I'll be honest with you. Confined space is always one of those things. So I learned back in fire school, I think it was Maddie who taught me, he's like, because he was my instructor up at the ACC, he goes, everybody's claustrophobic. And if you're not, you just haven't been in a small enough space yet.
Agreed.
And I'm like, yep. So I keep forcing myself into small spaces just because it makes me uncomfortable. So I have to learn to process that.
And it's a good point. It's kind of like you fall off a horse, get back on it. That's a good idea. That's a good point. It really is.
But I'll be honest with you. I look forward to being retired and never having to do that again.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is nice. I love it. I do miss the job. Don't get me wrong. It's like when I feel kind of guilty sometimes because I'll be like, oh, I love retirement. It's so great. I highly recommend it. And I say that because I put 31 years in, professionally. And, I do like it, but it's not bragging at all. Cause if I was younger, I do miss the job. I might hear about runs. I'm like, oh, what happened? What's going on? What'd they do? I still get curious what's going on and want to know. So I do. It's a love for the job that you'll never, on 80 years old, I'll probably still be like, hey, what'd you guys do? What's going on? Now I have Pulse Point still, and I still look at it and I see what you guys are doing on the day. Like, hey, they had an auto accident 270 or whatever. So I still pay attention to what's going on.
Do you feel like you have a better memory of it now that you're out of the job? We talked about feeling more fresh.
Yes.
Is it easier to love the job when you're away from it?
Yeah, it is because I don't want to be negative. The last year, because it was COVID year too. And COVID was tough on everyone. But I got to the point where I always told myself when it became, when I didn't like the job anymore, when it became a chore or something I didn't like to do anymore, I would leave. And the last year or so, I didn't have that excitement like I used to have. I used to have that excitement of like, like I was telling you earlier about going on vacation. I couldn't get back to Firehouse. What's going on? What did I miss? Um, Towards the end, probably last year, I was kind of like, I don't want to go to work anymore. And not to be a naysayer.
It's okay. Yeah.
I think I was just almost to the point I was getting burned out, but I think I left at the right time.
Sure.
And I think that's good. And you know what, honestly, there's a lot of young firefighters out there that deserve to have their career. So it's their turn. It's, I had my turn. My turn is done. I'm up, and now it's their turn. And I hope they have a great career as I did. I mean, I enjoy it. I would do it again in a heartbeat. And it's the best kept secret. It really is.
I've always said that you can describe the fire service as the worst job you've ever had in your life and the best job you've ever had in your life. And both of them are completely honest.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. So tell us what you've been up to. You've been retired now for about a year.
Yeah, actually almost just about exactly a year. So I've always been a boater, and I had a bigger boat on Lake Erie, and then sold that and bought a camper, an RV or a travel trailer. So the Jayco, 28 foot. And my wife and I, we go camping all over the place. I mean, Outer Banks to northern Michigan to the Smoky Mountains, and we're going out west, coming up, not taking a camper this time, but we've been doing a lot of traveling, which is great. And hiking. I mean, we've hiked the trails from the Carolinas to Tennessee to Kentucky to North Carolina to Michigan to Ohio, and love it. Love it. And then bought another boat. I'm back in the
Oh, you did buy another boat.
I bought a smaller boat. It's
paddle boat.
Yeah, no, it's a cuddy cab. It's a Sea Ray 21 foot. That's good for Lake Erie if I want to go there.
Yeah.
Or it's good for like the inner lakes around here. But yeah, I always have to have a boat. I think I went probably 3 years out of boat, and I have this opportunity arose where I got this boat and I bought it. So kind of a retirement gift.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I love it. So yeah, that's what we do. We're very outdoorsy.
Very cool.
And I get February is difficult because I'm itching to get back outside.
When do you start your camping season?
April.
Okay.
April 15th, I think, is our first camping, or right around there. Can't remember the date. It's right like the second week in April, I want to say.
And where are your plans to go?
I think it's Hocking Hills.
Cool.
We're going there, but it's also Easter weekend, so we might have to shorten it because I planned it and then realized it was Easter Sunday. So we might have to.
Good Lord's on the wood too, brother.
Do a little modification. So I'm going to Florida every year. We're going to Florida here in a couple of weeks.
Okay, cool.
So do that.
Where in Florida?
Inglewood. My dad has a house down there, so it's by Fort Myers.
Okay.
But this is great. I enjoy that. Like especially now, it's been so cold this year. So
yeah. And your wife's still working?
Yeah, school teacher for Newark, first grade teacher. She's amazing. Puts up with me being retired. So, but you know what? I cook at home all the time. I even do laundry. So I kind of like picked that up. But as a firefighter, that's what you do.
Yeah. I
mean, we cook, we clean, we do laundry.
Don't tell all their secrets, Woody. Come on.
My
wife's going to start expecting
things.
Yeah,
expecting things. Yeah. I was afraid of that, but it keeps me busy.
Good.
So, but I enjoy all of it though. I really do.
Yeah. You keep in touch with anybody?
Yeah. I mean, COVID is such frustrating because obviously a lot of us didn't have a day in the bay, and a lot of us missed out on that. I mean, that's a good thing. It's kind of a cool little thing to have where you retire and then you have a day in the bay where, your coworkers come together, family, friends, and you have, share a meal and tell stories and get your golden axe, and then you leave.
Did you get your axe?
I did, but it was like in a room, and of course it was on Zoom, and at that same time, all 4 stations had runs.
I remember that.
So it was me and the Chiefs. And now the good thing is, my wife got permission to Zoom it at her classroom. So her classroom was on Zoom, so it was her classroom, and then the 2 Chiefs and me.
Very cool.
That was it. And then no one recorded it because we didn't think about it because it happened so fast. Everyone was supposed to be there. Everyone zoomed in. Everyone logged in. and then it was Station 92, Station 93, Station 91, Station 95. And I was like, oh, no one's left.
Not the
But
fire service.
yeah, exactly. That's fine. It's fine with me. So,
Yeah.
I can't remember where I was going with that story, but I think, with COVID so it's hard to go to the stations and visit.
Yeah.
Because you have to wear a mask, not wear a mask. And rules now, you can't have any visitors because of the COVID. So I look forward to.
Hell with it, Woody. You come and talk to me. I'll buy you a cup
I
of
know,
coffee
and
any
I've
day.
heard that from most everyone. So, but I've kept my distance
Yeah,
for now because
that's
I don't
fair.
want to get anybody in trouble. And I just hear stories, so I try to, so I think I just after the COVID stuff, after the mask mandates are lifted, then maybe I definitely would come around for sure.
Yeah, very cool. What is some things you hope for the future of the department?
Well, it's on a good path. I mean, again, Washington Township is very unique because of what it is and what it presents. I hope it continues. I hope they. The future is very bright, especially for here, but really for everywhere. I mean, all the surrounding fire departments, they're all pretty much on the same page. So safety, mental health, and the biggest thing is safety, though, because I think everyone needs to go home, and it's a very dangerous job, or can be. So safety training.
What was your favorite trainings?
I believe it or not, I like most trainings. I really do, because I've always said trainings will save your life, and I'll stand by it. So all trains, I enjoy doing all different sorts of things. I like the water. It was kind of fun to get in the suits and float down the river, play with the boats. But it was, I know I said about my knees, but crawling around on your hands and knees and searching for people, doing a good rotation, and it was good. I mean, I enjoyed that. So the hotel that we were in, that was good training. I mean, just to me, it's very important that you do that kind of stuff. So,
yeah. 94 North High.
Yeah. Yes. Yep.
Man, that place.
Yeah.
We're going to give you a 6-story building for 6 weeks. Ready,
I guess,
go.
Yeah. And that was fun. I have some good pictures that I don't think you guys have of us doing some training in there. And that was crazy because you look at what is today. But yeah, that was some good training, though. Yeah. You're right. It was quick. It was so you guys were there a lot.
Yeah. I was going to say long days.
Yeah. We weren't there as long as you guys were, but
yeah, we went a little nuts and had some fun. That's for sure.
Yeah. It was a good time. So yeah. So I do miss all that stuff. I miss it. I can't, some places I don't like to go to and run. So it's not fair to mention any names. But there's some people that abused us, I thought.
Yeah.
And only in my opinion only.
Mm-hmm.
So, but overall, it's a great career. But I'm glad I'm out as well, though, same time. But again, it's all about timing.
You talked about some people leaving too late. Talk to me about the importance of that and what your views are.
Well, a couple of things. Some people I think stay a long time because they love the job. And I do not blame them one bit.
Yeah.
But sometimes this job is very dangerous. Cancer is big in the fire service. It is, with all the chemicals that you are exposed to, from soot to foam to just many things. And some firefighters, I think, will stay long. And the next thing you know, they're older, and then they may retire, then develop health conditions. And then, so their retirement is short to nothing. And they don't really get to enjoy the golden years. And that to me is very sad. Yeah. Again, I don't blame anybody for that because it's hard to leave. And some people, it's very difficult. My advice to people is do your career, do your thing, and get out when it's right, and don't push it. It's kind of like it's a gamble that it's not worth it. I could have worked longer, made more money. I could have my investments could have made more money, and I could have, but why? My thing is I want to get out. I want to enjoy my retirement. I want to be able to travel, spend more time with the family. And since I've retired, I've lost almost 30 pounds. My attitude is good. My attitude is pretty much good for the most part. But my anxiety level, a year ago, I probably wouldn't have done this interview because I get too nervous behind things. Mm-hmm. I'm way more relaxed today. I probably still talk fast and I still talk a lot. But overall, though, I'm like a different person, and I think that's important for your stress. I mean, your high blood pressure, sleepless nights. I mean, I'm in my home. I'm in my bed every night, every night.
Hmm.
Now, for 31 years, I worked every third day for 31 years, and most of those times I was up all night. Most of at least definitely once almost every night.
Mhm.
But many times I didn't sleep. So then it took me 2 days to recover, and then I'm back at it again. And that's a lot of stress on your body. So you need to do your thing, and then you need to get out and enjoy your life, and you let the young people take over, let them do their thing. So I've always said with you, I mean, well, a lot of people, I'd be like, it's your fire department now. I mean, us old guys are here, and we enjoy the job, but it's your turn. It's your turn now for the younger generation to step up and do their thing, and they're good at it. So
Yeah, that's one thing you did very well. In the last year or two, I got to work with you directly again in our last 2 years, and you really paved the way. You helped go, okay, what do you want? And then coach us through,
yeah,
hey, I'm here. And some people, we all leave in our own way, right? Some people hold on to their territory very strong. Some people hand it over. And I think it was you talked about the whole fist in the bucket of water, and you pull your fist out and
oh yeah,
water fills. And
yeah,
and the whole thing was, and I learned it as well, you're only as important as the hole in the bucket, right?
yeah, right,
But you made the point, and which was real poetic, and you said, well, if you do it right, it should fill up quick. You should be replacing yourself while you're here.
yeah.
And I thought that was really cool. I don't even know if you remember saying it, but you spent the last few years actually systematically handing things over to the last day you actually handed me your EMS jacket.
Yeah, yeah.
And I
Still
thought,
got it?
I do.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think my compliments to you. I think you did a heck of a job handing that off.
I think it's important. I mean, I get, again, I understand the old ways, but the new ways are somewhat better. And I think it's important because to me, it's your fire department now. It's not mine. And it's good to hand over that stuff and let it go. And you hear the term all the time, just let it go. So
Mostly through Frozen, Disney movie.
yes, yeah. You know that because you have a couple girls. But yeah.
Talk about that. Talk about family a little bit. How do you navigate life through this chaos called the fire service?
You know, I unfortunately many firefighters, I went through a divorce years ago, right? Right after 9/11, actually. So all that was, and there's some dark times, and there are some dark times. And I think that's life for everyone. That doesn't matter in the fire service or not, but life is full of ups and downs. And there's sometimes you're like when I was in darkness for years. I mean, but it's funny. I can still come to work. I could be in darkness and come to work with a smile on my face, take the runs, hand candy to the kids, show them around, the smile, and go home and be like, wow, my life is so upside down.
Yeah.
But I just powered through it. To me, you just gotta, sometimes you're just handed what you have and you just gotta do what you gotta do.
So you said something really important there that I don't want to glaze over. When I talk to older couples, they say we have our good years and we've had our bad years. And they've been married 75 years. And you're like, what's the trick? Well, for a long time, I never heard that correctly. And you just said it. Good years and bad years.
Yes.
And in the life of immediate gratification on social media right now, we think we can just scroll past something we don't like.
Right.
But when you said it, and when the old couple say it, that's good years and bad years. That's a long time to endure.
Yeah.
Looking back or looking forward, how do you get somebody through that and explain to them that it's going to last years, but it doesn't always have to suck?
I think what made it for me, I think, is just knowing that things will get better. And I just knew that in time things would get, and it always does get better. That's one thing that's 100% guaranteed. It will definitely get better, but it takes time. Now your life may change. You may end up selling a house, or you might have to move because of a divorce or whatever. You may be out of your element or change your position or whatever for time, but in time you get used to it. And then in time you get back to where you need to be. So, I think with me, I just knew things would get better. I remember there's times I'd be at home and I'd be kind of almost lost. And I would literally put like, one time I did this. I put milk in the cupboard and I put cereal in the refrigerator.
Hmm.
I remember thinking, and it bothered me because I'm like, wow, I can't believe my mind is so off. So I made more of a focus on myself
Now, would you say that's stress or preoccupation or?
I think it's I think it's everything. It was right after my divorce, and I remember I was in a house, and I went into an apartment,
Mhm.
and I had this house that I loved, and then you blink your eye, and now you're in a cold, dark apartment, thinking, what is going on? Just I'd had my family, and now it's gone, and then you think, wow, this is so that's kind of eye opening. But now today, obviously, I look back to that and think, I mean, things have changed a lot today.
Sure.
But and that's the dark times. So, but I mean, but I think everyone goes through those times where things are dark and it almost seems like there's no light at the end of the tunnel. So, but there always is. So,
I think there's a greater awareness of that darkness now.
I agree. Well,
Awareness of firefighter suicides and stuff like that.
yeah. When the fire service has changed today, but back in the day, it was weakness to show. I mean, if you walk in and be like, man, I'm going to have troubles at home. I'll suck it up, and not always.
Sure.
But I did the same advice though. People come like, "Oh, suck it, walk it off."
Right.
I'll hurt my foot. Well, you got another foot. Keep going. Keep walking. Don't be a baby. Just keep doing. But it's different because it's deep, and there's some people that really need some help that need some time or just to hear them talk, hear them speak. So, and the fire service has definitely changed for that aspect of it.
What recommendations, if anything, do you have for somebody that's currently going through that, if they're just hearing this for the first time? And
Well, I'll go just one day at a time. Things will get dark and sometimes get darker, but I will guarantee you 100% without a doubt, things will be better. And I can't stress that enough because it does get better. Sometimes it gets way better. So, I mean, my life, like my wife today is amazing. I mean, when I first got married the first time, I didn't plan to get divorced. I was Catholic. I was supposed to get divorced, but it happened. And there's no one to blame, by the way. I'm not going to blame her. I'm not going to blame me.
Sure.
It happens. But today, my wife today is amazing, just awesome. So, and things are good. So, my advice is just hang in there, do the right thing. Don't do anything you're going to regret. With Facebook and with all these text things, it's easy to be like, oh yeah, and it's a nasty text. Don't do that. Don't do anything that you're going to regret the next day. So if you want to send a mean text or something, wait 24 hours. If you still feel that way, okay, that's on you. But most of the time, people regret their choices. So I would say, don't do anything stupid and just hang in there. Tomorrow's a new day.
Interesting. Yeah.
So, and it'll take time. It's not going to, I mean, as a house, you have to build a foundation first. If you have a good foundation, you have a good house. If you go too fast and you have a terrible foundation, and your house will fall.
Yeah. What do you, new people coming in, what do you want from them going forward? What do you hope for somebody who's just now looking at the fire service? What do you say when you pull them aside?
I would say, listen to the older people, the elders. You're going to constantly learn new things all the time. You're not going to learn everything in one time. You're not going to EKGs. You're not going to come in and understand an EKG immediately. It's going to take time. You're going to make mistakes. It's, studying is important all the time. Learning new things, I think is very important. Do your job well. You have to get along with others. Open-minded, positive attitude. Don't be negative. I mean, there's times it's easy to be negative on things. Like if, I don't know, you come in and you might have to do something you don't want to do. And you might be, well, it's not fair because why do I have to do this again?
Yeah.
My thing is, do your job, do the dishes. Don't complain about it. If someone else is not doing their job, doesn't matter. You focus on yourself. You focus on making yourself better. You do what needs to be done. If if the floor needs swapped or swept, sweep the floor. If it needs mop the floor. I mean, if you see a rag laying around, pick the rag and put it away.
Yeah.
Do your job. Don't worry about the other guy. Take care of yourself. And people around you will notice that. People will notice what you're doing and they will see you for who you really are. That's one thing about the fire service. It's a small world. You could be the fire department an hour away and do something kind of dumb. And I'll guarantee you, we will know about it. Guarantee we'll know about it because that's how the fire service works.
Oh, that's for sure.
So my thing is, no matter where you are, I don't care if you're in Cleveland, volunteering or working part-time up there, just do your job right, do it well, and you will go very, very far.
That's cool. If you had to, kind of similar, kind of different, if you had to pull yourself aside on the first day of your job, what would you tell yourself day one?
Oh boy. I don't know. That's a good question. You stopped me right there. Cause I think I've done pretty well. Probably my only regrets is I wish I'd been probably more of an instructor, maybe, or more of even a leader. I took the back seat. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, by the way. A lot of people took the back seat in a sense in their career. I just didn't think I was a good leader to do it. Maybe I would have been. I don't know. But I wish I probably would open my mind to that earlier on. Should I have taken the officer's test? Yes, I should have. When I had the chance to become instructor for ACLS, I probably should have. And I just turned it down because I had high anxiety. Well, at the time I didn't know it. I just have high anxiety and I got nervous being in front of people. Like I used to stutter really bad and I'd get in front of one time I taught a class years ago with Brian Skipworth, I remember, and I locked up and I could not, it was only my peers. And I have a hard time today. I could probably do it because I feel more relaxed, but I just have too much anxiety. So I felt, so it was easy to me to take an easy road. Mm-hmm. But if I think back to it, I probably would say, I wish I would probably became an instructor and everything I could get and instruct everything. And more hands-on things and probably more in the leadership role as well. Maybe not either become an officer, but at least take challenge a test, challenge yourself. I think my first time I was afraid of failing the test and think, oh, people might see my weakness and think that I'm not good enough. So it was easy for me to say, no, I'm not taking the test. That's stupid. I'm not doing that. That's dumb. In reality, I'm thinking, no, I really wanted to take it. I was afraid of failing and looking like an idiot. And you really don't, because there's people that have failed the test and they're still great people. There's nothing, and I didn't know that at the time. So I would probably say, become a leader, but teach, because that's what this job is. You're constantly learning new things. And we have some awesome people here. I can name tons that instruct, that teach, that become a better person. And that's impressive to me. So they make me look good. They really did.
So you said something that was really cool. And it's something I want to kind of personally focus on going forward is, I love the idea of non-critical failures, right? Non-fatal failures. Yeah. We go into the gym and we do 1 rep max or whatever it may be, and we fail in the gym, and that's seen as a, hey, you got to failure. But on the training ground or on the test, it's, I don't want to take the assessment center because I'm afraid to fail, or I'm afraid to sit in the seat because I'm afraid I'm going to screw up on the radio, or, why do you think that is? And then help me set that narrative going forward. How do we build in acceptable failure? Because I don't know how.
I agree. I don't know how either. I know that it's easy for me now to say this because I'm retired. I have nothing to lose. I have nothing to gain in a sense. But I know, like the radio thing, for example, certain people have high anxiety. And one thing I think we've learned as kids and your kids' friends, there's some people that have issues. I can't say issues. There's some people that, like me, that don't like to be in front of the camera, that don't like to be the spotlight. Like I don't like to walk in a room and be like, ooh, I get too nervous to the point where I couldn't talk. I mean, I literally couldn't talk. And one thing on the radio I was always afraid of, and that's one reason I become an officer, is there was times we've been like, I'm in charge medic and a really bad wreck comes in. I'm on the scene. I'm like, and I've keyed that mic and I could not talk. I've locked. I don't know why. I can't.
Sure.
I think it's in high anxiety. I have a speech issue I used to have, but I could not talk. And there's times I used to almost have to almost cough, and then I could start talking. Then I was fine. And it seems weird to say it that way. So there's some people that have more confidence in themselves, maybe, that can easily become an officer, have no problem talking on the radio, that can say things. And we have some rock star officers, we do. And it's impressive to see how they operate and how they do things. It's just like, wow, I wish I had that, confidence. And sometimes I don't. That's why, to me, didn't think it was a good idea for me to be an officer. Because what if I messed up on the firing ground? What if hell was breaking loose and I had radio lock and I couldn't talk, and then someone's gonna get hurt. And I thought, no, I can't do it. So I was fearful of that. But kind of talk about confined space. I should have done it anyways, because once I've learned it, because later on in my career, I didn't care. I could talk on radio all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of the same thing about the confined space. Sometimes you got to put yourself in that situation, feel the tightness, and accept it, and understand that's okay. It's still okay. It's still going to tomorrow. You're still okay. So I think
confined space still sucks.
It does. 100%. You won't find me in confined space today. But I would probably say more of put yourself there. You may not be ready for it, but sometimes, and again, I know it's easy for me to say this today, put yourself in that stage in the spotlight, put yourself in front of the camera and do it. Yeah. You may think you look like a fool, but everyone, more than likely, almost everyone feels the same way you do. The difference is they do it and they become who they are. Other people like me are afraid and say, I'll just take the back seat, which is really the wrong attitude. And so I think you should put yourself out there and see what happens.
I'll say, I'm going to actually contradict you a little bit. I think that you said I don't know how to say it. You said you feel like you should have taken that step, and you feel like I agree, making yourself uncomfortable is a good thing. But I also think that being damn good at what you do is a perfectly acceptable job.
True.
And I think that
good point.
We have a lot of alphas here. We have a very passionate department, and I love that. But I also think that it's okay for somebody, a man or a woman, to come in and go, you know what? I'm going to be a firefighter. I'm going to do it for 32 years, and I'm going to do it the best of my abilities and screw some things up. And you know what? I'm going to go all out. And,
True. Yeah.
And we forget that it's okay to just be really good at what you do. You don't have to run it, Yeah, of course you need the people that have to or want to run it. But I've interviewed a lot of firemen and women from our department, and I think that that's something we forget very often.
Yeah, that's a good point, and I agree with that. It's definitely acceptable to do what I did.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything bad. The only thing sometimes I regret is like towards the end, we started training a lot more, and I could never really, even though I would ask, hey, and teach today. I never would because I was afraid to.
Sure.
But I probably should have. So
yeah,
but no, you're right. And that gets something about this job. You train all the time.
Yeah.
You train. Then when you're done training, you train again.
Mm-hmm.
But that's part of the job as well. So
yeah,
that's a good point.
And bugles don't make leadership.
No, they don't. Agreed.
And both examples of people with bugles that aren't leaders, and then people who without bugles who are absolute leaders.
Yeah.
Leadership in the fire services. I've always laughed because, somebody, it's one of those where, okay, yeah, I'm in the promotional process and I'm actively looking to get that experience. But I keep saying, and I'm very honest, like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, agreed.
In 5 years, 10 years, I'm top 20% in seniority.
Yeah.
Whether I want to or not, we have to step into leadership because we are the senior guy.
Yeah.
Or we're the senior gal. And it's one of those things where it's a constant reminder. It's like the bugle doesn't matter in the end.
Yeah, because you can be in charge of a medic, show up on a fire scene, and you'd have the scene.
Yeah.
You are, regardless. So you may not be an officer, but you may be in charge of the scene for temporarily. So true. Good point.
And very often, those who are on the medic will make more decisions, critical life-threatening decisions in a day than an officer will in a month.
100%. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's, auto accidents or whatever you're on, there's so much that's happening.
Yes.
And what good thing about it is most officers or the battalions will listen to the medic anyways.
Mhm.
Like, hey, I need a helicopter, I need this and this or whatever. And that's always done. So
Yeah.
for the most part, but so yeah, that's good. It's a good point. And there's nothing wrong with, I don't regret anything I did, I guess. I mean,
Mhm.
I might have said I regret it, but I guess overall I'm very happy with what I've done
Yeah.
in my career.
It should be.
I think I was a good medic. I don't think I was an excellent medic. I think there's people way better than me. I don't think I was terrible at it, but I definitely enjoyed my career.
Yeah.
And I'm happy with my choices. I'm happy with my decisions. I have no regrets of past runs. So I'm like, oh, wow, I really missed. I mean, not at all.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good statement.
What one of the things that I'm thinking about often right now is how to make things fun.
Yeah, which is important. Yeah.
Tell me things that people have done to make it fun in your career. What are games? I mean, we all know firehouse games, firehouse shenanigans, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Something that you won't go to jail for, but tell me some of those.
Some like, I don't know, like some like fun things like on training or taking runs or like,
Yes.
I mean, I don't know. We have a good time. Like, I don't know, something I probably can't say, but I think making the job fun, I guess, and working with the people. I mean, your day, like it all depends. Like if you work with someone that you get along with very well, your day is going to be fun all day long. Just jokes, things like that. So I guess I don't know. I mean, I mean, just I think playing cards is fun. Playing the EMS Jeopardy or the Fire Jeopardy is fun. So doing things like that, I think it makes it kind of fun to make it enjoyable. So that's how I guess me by fun. There's other things I really can't say, but nothing bad. Just driving down the street and it's gotta be cool. But so I just, it all depends who you work with. I mean, there's some people that you're sending a medic and you're like, oh, I'm with Andrew today. And like, oh, cool. Great. Yeah. There's really no one bad to work with.
Sure.
But there's some people like, okay, there's some people like, they're more of like, they're like a stick in the mud. They just don't want to do anything. Oh, they don't want to make it fun. It's like, hey, let's get some ice cream on the way home from Riverside. No, I don't want to. Like, okay. I mean,
yeah.
Or other people are like, oh yeah, I'm going to get out,
crave case.
Yeah. A crave case. And then fun, or a pizza at 3:00 in the morning, or stop at Krispy Kreme and get a dozen donuts. So when the guys from the engine that slept all night, they wake up and there's donuts there for them. I mean, that to me is fun. That's the fun stuff.
Sure.
So that to me makes it fun. We used to, back in the day, we would tease stations. I mean, we would literally we used to have the old pass devices that, and that was way before the new MSAs, but you turn them on, and if they didn't sense motion after 30 seconds or a minute, they would alarm, they would beep. So we had a whole bunch of laying around. We would take them and we would turn them on and tie them on a string, and we'd tie them in the bay of a different station, and we would swing them and leave. Well, eventually it would stop swinging and stop, and then motionless. And all of a sudden, beep, 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 beep. And then alarms would start going off in the bay and wakes everyone up in the station. It was funny. And of course, they would get mad at us. And back when we had 2 stations, it was easy to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
But when 95s opened up and then 92s opened up, they're like, oh, and who did it? We're like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then we get like a station wars. And they would come back at us by take a spray can, and they would tape it down, like disinfecting spray. And they would throw like a hand grenade in the dorm. So it's spraying constantly. So it's, they're taping the nozzle down. So it's, the whole dorm fills up with disinfectant spray, which stinks. And then you get up, you try to find out who it was, and they're long gone.
Yeah.
And then because nowadays you can look on the computer and see who was out, and who's not. But back in the day, you didn't know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, those are fun days.
You ever ring the tower?
Yes. So we would come back in runs and go to 95s, the water tower, and we'd take our sledgehammer. Medic had one, and we would go in and bang on the side of the tower, and like a bell upstairs to the girls sleeping up there. So yeah, we did that multiple times. It was kind of fun.
I'm not gonna lie. The first time I did that, assuming I would have, and probably no evidence that I ever did. But if I would have done that, the thing that surprised me is how loud it was from the outside.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's even louder on the inside. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
crap.
Yeah. And I can honestly say I've never experienced from the inside.
Yeah.
I've always done it from the outside. Because
Yeah.
when it got old, or really the last 10 years, I think we just trained so much and we stopped doing that.
Mhm.
And is it a good thing or a bad thing? Now you ask the higher ups, the white shirts admin, they'll be like, yeah, it's a good thing. But you ask the firefighters today, like, man, I kind of missed that time. And a lot of us older guys have been here for a while. We talk about we miss those fun things we used to do.
Mhm.
So
I think there's some value in that. Obviously going forward, whether in the senior man or a promoted position, it doesn't matter. I want to make sure we're having fun, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, COVID sucked. There's
does.
no two ways about that. It just sucked all the fun out of everything.
I agree.
And you were supposed to be afraid of each other and everything else in the beginning, and nobody knew. And
Yeah.
then it was like, well, 2 weeks to flatten a curve, and here we are a couple years later where we're banging our head in a car door just to,
The showers. We'd come back from a run, have to decon the medic, take a shower,
Yes.
change your uniform.
Yeah.
I mean, a run would take 4 hours.
Yeah.
A basic run.
Yes.
And that,
Showering in the bay.
in the 91s with Dawn.
Yeah, right.
I mean, you think about, it's funny now. And then it got to the point where, or you get groceries and you like wipe them all down before you brought them in the station.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then, and now you get to the point where it's so funny because the transition became like, you take a COVID run, you're like, oh, to decon. Then you get to the point where you're like, yeah, I think it's a COVID run. I'm not really sure. It was COVID run. We're good. And we just drive back to the station and not worry about it.
Yeah.
And then, so it's kind of funny how that transition to
Oh,
what it
yeah.
was, but
Yeah. And, the thing that I really want to focus on going forward is making sure that we're not losing the fun, because
Yeah.
that's what helps you survive with
Agreed.
the stress. And whether the
Agreed.
stress is a dead kid or whether the stress is COVID, it's still stress. And,
It is.
and my wife had to remind me one time, and this was after we had our second kid. I think I'd landed on some tests. I got some opportunities to do some really cool stuff. 2 new girls, everybody's
Yeah.
healthy, and stuff was just falling down around me. And I'm like, I don't understand. It's all going so well. How's it feel so bad? And she's like, well, you're stressed. And I'm like, from what? And she's like, well, good stress is still stress.
Yeah.
And one thing I want to bring and make sure we never forget in the firehouse is that it's okay to pop off steam. Now, I think where we got in a lot of trouble is when we took it too far, we being the fire service.
Oh yeah.
But I don't always know how to recreate that.
Yeah.
And so,
like obviously everything has changed, not just the fire service, but the time we used to have fun back in the day, from taping chair to a backboard. If you do it today, you probably would lose your job or be disciplined severely, unfortunately. But at the same time, I understand the higher ups position.
Yeah.
I really do, because so it's crazy how things have changed.
Yeah.
And I think that was a way for firefighters to blow off stress. So when they didn't take it home with them as much.
Mm-hmm.
So the point, I guess, would be like, okay, are firefighters more stressed today than they were 20 years ago? And when I think back, I would probably, if I had to answer that question, I'd probably say yes, more stress today. Because today, we talked about this earlier, I think off camera, about being judged or being watched over all the time. So like you do an EMS report. You do a report and it's a serious run. And so now you're doing a report and you know that everyone's going to read the report,
Mm-hmm.
from your officers to the EMS manager to the doctor. And you're thinking, oh, I got to make sure I read this well. Then you're being judged and it causes stress. Where I guess you're probably being judged back in the day, but for some reason didn't seem as serious.
Yeah.
Today, things seem more serious. I mean, I guess be careful how I say it that way, because there's always serious then too.
Yeah.
But I think stress today is higher today in the fire service than it was 20 years ago.
Sure.
Now, it's measured today. It wasn't measured then, so we don't truly know. So yeah, that's a good point about family stress. The good thing is, like my wife, for example, talk to her like, hey, how was Kevin up till a year ago? And how's Kevin been for the last year?
Yeah. Bring that mic closer. Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, so that's how I'd put it. Like, how's Kevin been for the last year? Has he changed? And I think I've changed a lot. I mean, I remember, I think I used to almost sabotage conversations. Like if we're doing something, I don't want to do it. I'm like, oh yeah, well, and I'd say things that are like kind of didn't make sense. And then I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I just had a rough day. Just a rough day. I'm sorry. And I'd always apologize. And of course, she's always cool about it. Doesn't happen today. Not at all. Because I just don't, I feel way more relaxed.
Yeah.
About everything.
You know, it was funny because I think I did one time the run review, and I was like, it's just an example. And it's not that we have too many or too few reviews or whatever, because like we talked about off camera, it is a serious thing and it is a good thing that is highly scrutinized.
It is,
right? Accountability is a good thing.
Good, yeah.
But when you come off a scene, I judge myself on my own actions. My crew judges me on my actions.
Yes.
My officer then reads the report and judges me on my actions. Then the peer review judges me on my actions. QC committee makes sure my report's written correctly. Then the EMS manager takes a look at it, takes it to the safety committee, or the EMS committee. The EMS committee takes it to Gabriel, and then Gabriel takes it to the entire fire department.
And so, the chiefs are in there as well.
Well, yeah. So if it's a sentinel run, that's 10 layers of scrutiny. And I'm okay with that. But it's something we're aware of when we're, and so I think that has a lot to do because we've always said a month after you retire, you look 10 years younger.
Yeah.
And you're sleeping, you're eating full meals, and not just cramming them in, trying to get out the door.
Eating healthier.
Yeah.
I mean, you do. I think I actually sit and enjoy my meal, but probably my first couple of months after retirement, I'd sit down like, and my dinner would be gone in 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife's like taking like 3 bites.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. I'm used to always eating fast because you don't know you're going to be in a run in a second or not, even though you're home, but it's just something you kind of get used to.
It's funny is I cook my family meals and I actually continue to cook while they eat. And then because it's all in the same space in my house. And so I'm just handing out plates and doing refills and getting milk. And then I have my plate and I sit down with my daughters and they're like, well, I'm ready to go. And I'm done before they get off the table.
Wow. Yeah, I believe it.
And it's truly because I eat that fast and it's the same thing. I totally understand.
And I think it's just and I think maybe a newer firefighter coming in doesn't truly understand that until they get a nice steak perfectly done. And you sit in front of it and you just ready to dive into it and the tone goes off and you come back to a cold steak 2-3 hours later and still sitting at the table. Sometimes they may cover it up for you if they get the engine crew or
put
whatever.
A napkin over it.
But a lot of times it's still sitting there. There's flies on it. And you come back and you put that sucker in the microwave and still eat it because you're hungry. You don't care if there's flies on it. Who cares? You're hungry and plus you get a report to do or we had cleanup to do. So you're going to eat real quick. And then, so once you learn that, you learn to eat fast. You see that steak, down it quick because you may have been a run in 2 seconds. So, but so I think stress today, I'm glad that the fire department's looking into stress because I think it's high for firefighters. So, I don't know what the solution would be. I think talking is good, but I don't have more time off or, I don't know how you can really make it better.
Yeah, I think that'd be an interesting conversation for a clinical psychologist or something. And
because you got to do the job. Bad things are going to happen to people.
Yeah.
And that's what the fire service is here for.
That's what we do.
That's what we do. And there's no one else.
Yeah.
There's no one else we're it. There's no one after us to come and
I hope you retired and joined 912.
Yeah.
I could give you a call when I need
help. Yeah. Anytime. Bring the bourbon.
Yeah, there you go. What are you drinking these days?
Amador is a new one I just been.
Amador,
really good. Yeah, it's actually pretty good.
Indian or is it?
No, it's actually barreled and on wine barrels.
Okay.
And aged like 10 years, and it's really good. It's like a smoky cherry almost.
Oh.
It's really good.
Nice.
Amador. And I have a lot of them. I've been kind of doing. I probably have like 13 different bottles now, different ones. But I still can't get some of the good ones out. Around Central Ohio, it's hard.
Yeah, it is.
So
I usually pick them up when I go camping.
We're going to the Bourbon Trail in end of July, middle of July. We're taking a camper down there and camping on the Bourbon Trail.
And where is the Bourbon Trail technically?
Oh, well,
where are you camping?
It's funny. I cannot. Let me think. Hold on. Oh boy, ask me too fast.
Sorry.
It's a funny, unique name.
Where are
Oh,
you?
it's in Kentucky.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
No,
Oh, yeah,
I was going to
right,
ask
yeah.
you slower.
I'm just trying to, but it's really close to like Buffalo Trace, and then it's like something ferry.
Okay.
So that looks like
Well, I'm Googling it as we speak. So keep.
yeah, it's like it's a Bourbon Trail, it's a campground, something ferry, but it's on the river. So but it looks pretty cool though. Never been there. So I hope it's good. Had good reviews.
Pomaria?
No, I can't think of it offhand. I can look it up, but I don't know.
When are we going camping together?
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Anytime. You still coming out to Newark once in a while to that one place?
Yeah. So I got a friends with a farm right out by the basket.
Yeah. But yeah, that's
Dayton
right.
Road.
Yep.
So where's that? Oh, it's Louisville. Okay. Buffalo Trace is in Louisville.
Yeah. And then we're just we're south of Louisville, and it's a campground and something. It's like Harper's Ferry or something like that, or like it seems too easy, but something like that is where we're staying at.
Okay.
It's a campground. Good reviews.
That's cool. Yeah, actually, we've been to the South Louisville KOA.
Oh, nice.
And had a pretty good experience down there.
Did you guys go to the river? Go on the Southern Belle?
No.
There's a great little restaurant.
The casino on the river?
That's not a casino. It's like a restaurant. So you go out on this paddle boat and you cruise the river, and you have dinner.
Oh, that's cool.
It's great. They have drinks afterwards. It's kind of neat little place.
If you get a chance, maybe we'll have to plan a weekend and go down to Lexington.
Oh yeah.
My brother rolls pretty hard down there. I'm not going to lie, but we found it was a brewery that does bourbon. So they make beer, but the owner is a real bourbon fan, and somehow he gets a whole Pappy lineup every single year, and he sells it at cost essentially. So it's like $50 for a Pappy 15. And it's a pretty cool experience for stuff that I would never buy, but take $150 down there and you can experience a couple different things.
It's funny because bourbon to me, I've never liked bourbon, not until 2 years ago. I just was never, I like rum once in a while.
Okay.
But I was more like the beer drinker.
Yeah.
I didn't even like wine. It was beer. That was it. Not a lot of it. I wasn't a big, heavy drinker.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's you guys that got me hooked on bourbon one time. I think we were talking about it one time. I'm thinking, okay, I'm so kind of curious now. So I think I started buying it.
Yeah.
And then I've learned well, it's actually pretty good. And really a good bourbon is good. I bought some bad ones.
Yeah. There's some bad ones for sure.
But yeah, I enjoy that. I don't drink much of it. That's one thing. It's one thing about being someone that enjoys bourbon is you've got to know your limitations.
Yes.
You have to.
Yes.
Because there's a couple times now, twice I can think of, that you're drinking it, warm night, fire going,
campfires.
I'm gonna have couple more shots, and then you do that. Next thing you know, you're like, there's times you go to bed like, I went to bed. I don't remember I went to bed. I mean, that bothers me.
Yeah,
I don't like to lose control like that. So you got to be real careful with the bourbon.
Responsibility. 100%.
Yeah,
yeah. So, camping or water sports, or being on the water.
Boy, I'd say water because I love the water. I really do.
Yeah.
Although water is more expensive. Boating is more expensive.
Really?
And yeah, because fuel, dockage, you always have to eat out someplace. I mean, you can eat in the boat, but camping is healthier, cheaper, more to do. I mean, it's like a land yacht. Yeah. I mean, like taking the RV down to the Outer Banks was amazing. I mean, that was so cool.
Really?
I love it. Yeah, I highly recommend it.
How long of a drive was that?
It took 2 days, and I think we went like 16 hours. I think it was 8 hours and 8 hours. And we stayed like in the campsite, like in Virginia, someplace, and then we finished the trip. But you're literally driving like in a sandbar where you see the ocean on one side and the intercoastal waterway on the other side, but you can't see the land. So you almost, you're way out there. It's kind of cool. It's kind of neat.
Very cool.
And then nice campsite. It's highly recommend the Outer Banks.
Very cool.
Northern Michigan is another good one. So, but.
Yeah, we got blessed to do Mackinac Island.
Yeah.
Mackinac City campground, but very cool. So what's the future hold for you? You said big brothers, big sisters, and a little camping, a little traveling.
Yeah. So I'm doing that now. And I do that just once a week. Yeah. And there's this little boy that I just have lunch with every Wednesdays. And we just get together and have lunch. He doesn't have a father. So I just to be like a mentor in a sense. And it's kind of nice. It's kind of sad sometimes because you see some of these kids that you can't, I mean, just, you want to save them all in a sense. You want to like do as much as you can help them out, but you have to know your bounds too. Like I'm not their dad. I'm not their teacher. I'm just a lunch person. I have someone to lunch with. Hear them. And sometimes you hear their stories and it's kind of on a sadder side sometimes.
Yeah.
But I'm doing the best I can. And I know it's made a difference already. And I enjoy it. I really enjoy doing that kind of stuff. And I hope to get more involved in it. Because I think more people need to. And I wish firefighters, honestly, would do this more. I mean, it would be nice if the fire department would get together with big brothers, big sisters and do lunch with these kids in the schools. Now it's only first or kindergarten through, I think I might be first grade through fifth grade. And it's kindergarten through fifth grade. But it'd be nice in that lunch, the firefighters would go to these schools and have lunch with these kids once a week. I think that would be a good little thing to get into because these kids don't have a role model, and there's male, female. So the females are needed as well. Just to have lunch with, and they just tell you little things, and it means the world to them. I mean, it's amazing the stuff they tell you and how comfortable they are around you. It's nice. And I wish more people would do it.
That's cool. It's a fun idea to think about going in and just having lunch and listen to them talk. And
and I don't know, it's something that the fire department can, and maybe it's something we can look into, that the fire department can look into and contact Big Brothers Big Sisters and see if they can, and just more than Washington, needs to be statewide, and really get into, and just once a week, you either go off company or take the fire truck to the schools and have lunch with these kids.
That's cool.
Just half hour out of your day, and it means the world to them. So
it's amazing how, whether it's holding a hand in a car accident or the kid in a lunch table, how the smallest things usually are.
It's always the little things.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have your big runs. You can talk about your crazy things. We all have them, but really, the ones that, and the runs that I probably can't even think of. There's probably a lot of people out there that I may have helped and didn't even realize I was helping. Didn't even know. And that's all of us, not just me, all of us.
Yeah.
Where we've been on the run of an auto accident, and maybe a person was like, shell shocked because they're in a wreck, and you talk to them for a minute, and then they feel better, and then they walk away and like, oh, that guy or girl was really nice. Thank you. And they walk back and they think how great you were, and you have no idea. So I think it happens more than you think. So it's little things I think in life that mean the most, especially in this business.
Very cool.
So.
Well, Woody, you asked when we were starting here how long it would take. I said 45 minutes.
Yeah.
We're at an hour and 45 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. It's amazing. Time goes by so fast.
It does. And so I can't thank you enough. This is one of my personal joys in the fire service is talking to 40 unit guys.
I'm glad to do it because I think it's important to get the voices and the people, but more than that, I know you do the history of the fire department, and I think it's very important to keep that alive. So just like one thing about Chief Ross, I was telling you about when I first started here, I was young and wet behind the ears, and my card was greener than green. And I remember him, like he said to me, he goes, Schultz, invest your money, do something, invest money now. Trust me. Invest money now. And I did. So I had some money, I invested and I didn't touch it. And so learn from the older guys. So Chief Ross, God bless him, helped me out a lot by doing that, because I can enjoy things today because of what I did 30 or 28 years ago.
I've always tried to convince him, like, when you get this job nowadays, you feel rich when you first start, right? Going from part-time to
invest, save.
And I've tried to express to people, like, if you take your first pay raise, which I don't know what it's going to be when this video is watched 30 years from now, but today it's about $10,000. Feels like a lot.
Yeah.
Take your first pay raise and put it away and act like you never got that pay raise. And
it's so important.
And $10,000 a year over the course of your career, that's $1 million by the time you retire.
It's amazing. And it's funny because it adds up slow in the beginning. Like you may just want 10,000. So put 10,000 and like in 10 years, like, well, I could only 20,000. That's not much.
Yeah.
Well, then you keep that going. It starts to snowball.
Yeah.
Then 28 years, 30 years, you look at that and you're shocked of how well,
Yes.
how well it's done. So advice to newer people, invest, and retire younger and get out and enjoy your life, your golden years.
Very cool.
So no one to walk away.
Well, Woody, you said you haven't heard your name Woody in a year, so
Yeah.
I'll say it a couple more times, but
I'm okay. I still acknowledge it though.
yeah.
It's
So where did
amazing.
Woody come from?
So Woody, I don't remember exactly who said it, but and during the fire academy, we were
Okay.
training, and I remember someone, I was a blonde kid with ADD, always lost half the time, and someone said, "Woody, you remind me of Woody off of Cheers,"
Okay.
because I act like him, and they'll come in like, "Hey, it's Ray outside." I'm like, "Hey, it's Ray outside." Like, well, no kidding. Or something like that.
Okay.
So it just airheadish ADD things back in the day, still that way today. I admit it. But it was just something like that. And someone said, and it stuck. It stuck like you wouldn't believe, because it's even people from the island even say Woody. I could be in Florida. I could be in a cruise one time in the Bahamas. Like, hey, Woody. I'm like, it's amazing. So, yeah, it's been a 30-year plus thing, but it's off of Cheers. Woody from Cheers.
Woody from Cheers.
Yeah, Woody Harrelson.
Okay, very cool.
So that's where it comes from.
I'll be darned. Well, buddy, I miss you dearly.
I miss you guys too, man. I really do.
And,
I miss the kitchen table. I miss the coffee. So
yeah.
So
Well, we'll keep the coffee on. Make sure if you ever want to stop by, you give us a holler.
I'm ready. I cannot wait for this COVID stuff, the mask mandate stuff to be gone, and to live our lives.
Yeah. You going to go international, or are you a domestic traveler?
Nah, I think I'm going to stay here. Well, for now, until COVID's done.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to go to Australia, but
Okay.
Until this stuff is done behind us,
It's gonna be
politics.
some variation of it forever.
Yeah, but until they lift those mandates, I'm going to stay right here, I think.
Very good.
So at least for now.
Yeah.
But we'll never know, though.
Huh?
I may change my mind tomorrow.
Come on in. We'll play.
So yeah, sounds good.
Well, Woody, thank you, and we'll jump off here.
Thanks. Take care. Be safe.
All right, we are done.
That's amazing. It took an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah, you're a good man.